What's a totally random, obscure fact that you know? Lobsters pee out of their faces. From right under their eyes. There's a fact I didn't ever think I'd know. Yeah. Also, you'd be wrong to assume they do it to actually pee. In fact, they pee into each other's face to communicate. Or before a fight. Or before some hot sexy time. At the time of the French Revolution, the majority of people in France did not speak French. What language did they speak? Regional languages: Occitan, Breton, Basque. A second is called a second because it is the second division of the hour by 60, pars minuta secunda. The first division being a minute, pars minuta prima. That's pretty neat. Is pars Latin for per, Latin for part. Translates to first small part, minute, and second small part, second. I located utility lines for a while. You honestly have no idea how much infrastructure is underneath you. Get your lines marked before you dig. There is a decent chance that there is a major electrical or fiber optic line running through your backyard. Not just the lines to your house. When they are marked: red electric, green sewer, blue water, yellow gas, orange communication, orange with a dot on either side fiber optic, any color in a diamond with parallel lines that run. Lots of lines in one trench. As someone who works in telco, but on the data center / switch side, I agree. Please call before you dig. It happens often enough, and unless you work in the field, you don't realize just how impactful it can be. Though usually, most of our outages are commercial construction backhoes digging up our fiber lines, not a residential customer. The next two reasons are car accidents taking down a pole where the fiber was aerial and not dug, or railroad derailments, as when doing a far fiber runs. Railroads are easy to get easements in to run the fiber, and there is likely tracks going to the city we need to run to anyways. Bro, I used to work in telco and somebody doing construction work on the outskirts of Jakarta literally pulled a bunch of major trunk lines out of the ground with a backhoe and left like a million people without a phone back in 2017. I was doing a night shift company in Europe, and our chief engineer came over at 3 AM while our monitoring system was going cray-cray on Indonesia, and showed us a pic sent to us by our local dispatch. The entire office almost had a heart attack. Took a full week to replace a length of the cable for whatever reason, and ended up costing everyone a shitload of money. Aphids are born pregnant. Like tribbles? Exactly. In early drafts of The Hobbit, Thorin was called Gandalf, and Gandalf was called Bladorfin. I heard a story that Tolkien started writing The Hobbit because his son kept calling him out on little changes he would make or forget, like cloak colors. Yeah, something like, his son pointed out one time that Bilbo's door was a different color than last time he told it. So Tolkien said damn the boy and went and started writing it. Pet food companies have a few very well paid people on staff to taste test their products. Mill bones taste like bland graham crackers. Horses can throw up, neither can rats. That's why most modern rat poisons are emetic. Other creatures, cats, dogs, human children, etc., that find and eat the poison very quickly become violently sick and vomit up most or all of the poisonous material, significantly reducing the risk that they will be harmed by it. Rats, however, cannot be sick, and so the poison stays in them and kills them off. That's a good one, because that scene from Ratatouille makes you think that guy's food was so bad it almost broke the laws of nature. Screeched is the longest one-syllable word in English, and how you become a Newfoundlander. You been screeched in? High heels were invented for men to ride horseback, no less. Platypuses glow when they are exposed to UV lights. Oh, Parry the platypus. Come here for a second. I promise it's really cool. Typewriter is the longest English word that can be made with one line of a QWERTY keyboard. Tesseradecades is one of the longest left-hand only words on a QWERTY keyboard. So if you don't like moving your right hand off the mouse during password input, you could use it. Joke's on you. I type with both my hands, no matter where the keys are. Instant coffee was first made for WW2 rations. Here's another instant coffee fact. I've read that scientists who study insects and cockroaches often develop allergies to them at the same time. They often develop allergies to instant coffee. I'll let you draw your own conclusions. Lol. Don't ever look up the acceptable amounts of insect parts and rat feces allowed by the FDA. Netflix was founded before Google. Did not expect that. They mailed movies to your house. According to a study made by a fitness group, John Quincy Adams was the fittest president in U.S. history due to him running 3 miles daily and swimming in the Potomac River frequently. Funny. I would figured it was Abe due to his history of wrestling and his non-stop vampire hunting. I thought it was Teddy Roosevelt. Your brain prefers to default your mood back to one that you have made comfortable for yourself. So you can literally train yourself to default back to being sad, or being happy, or being anxious, etc. Well, guess I figured out why my default mood is nothing. Mine's horny. Nintendo was founded in 1889. How or what did they do at the start? Playing cards if I remember correctly. The Monopoly game was created by anti-capitalists to prove that capitalism was unfair. But it got stolen by the actual owners who trademarked it and made millions. They also removed the small lines that says it is about how bad capitalism is in real life. Anti-Monopoly tried to correct this by including this story in their game that opposes capitalists and socialists. Kinda. Anti-Monopoly failed because the market was cornered. All of the sweaters Mr. Rogers wore on Mr. Rogers' neighborhood were knit for him by his mother. Antarctica is a desert. A desert is determined by how much rainfall it gets. Hold on, doesn't snow count as rainfall because it melts to water? Yes. And they don't get much of it. Not a lot of evaporation happening at the South Pole. The word thing comes from the Old Norse word thing, which referred to an informal assembly/meeting of people. It's kinda weird now to think of someone saying I'm going to the thing and actually referring to a specific thing. Althing and Reykjavik, the oldest parliament in the world. Ancient Europeans believed that if they ground up the bones of their greatest warriors or sacred animals and mixed them in with the iron when forging a sword, the sword would contain their spirits, making it stronger. Little did they know that by adding in the ground up bones they were introducing carbon to the mix and creating carbon steel, which is much stronger than simple iron. So they were making their sword stronger by adding the sacred bones, just not in the way they thought they were. I was once told they also quench the blades in the blood for the same reason. It makes a stronger metal. I believe there is still a knife company who does it with pig's blood because that's metal as fuck. This isn't true. It was part of the Conan mythos and now gets repeated as a factoid. The quenching process is about changing the crystal structure of the metal to give it different properties by heading to a specific temperature and rapidly cooling. Not about changing the composition. Quenching in a specific substance would only affect the composition of the outermost layer, which would be removed when grinding and polishing the edge. Source: I made a couple of knives, but quit when I gave myself RSI from all the hammering. The fax machine was invented before the telephone. A lighter was invented before matches. Well, that's just iron and flint. My mate Steve can eat a kilo of cheese in a little under 1 minute 30. This is my favorite and probably the most useful. Self-checkout in Icelandic supermarkets talks in the same voice as old Aura from EVE Online. When I heard that for the first time, it took me a good while to realize that this is not a place where people would play EVE Online. Interestingly enough, CPP, the company that made EVE Online, is an Icelandic company. So it makes sense that the voice actor is the same. The moon moves 1 centimeter away from the earth every year. Can you blame it? It's just hoping that we won't notice. Domesticated house cats often suffer from kidney disease due to lack of water. This is because they'd rather sleep than go to their water bowl and drink. People have started making fountain bowls that have flashing lights so they catch the cat's attention and encourage them to drink more. It's not necessarily that they'd rather sleep. Cats have very poor vision within a few inches of their face, and pools of perfectly still standing water didn't really exist in the desert climate they evolved in. They don't always register bowls of water as something they want to / are able to drink from. Part of the reason cats like to drink from glasses and faucets is they can identify it as water. Combine this with the fact that cats are designed to extract moisture from their diet and are often fed primarily dry food, and you can see why cats can develop chronic dehydration. Thank you for correcting me. I didn't know about cats' vision not being great for distances. I feel like this sounds super sarcastic, but it's not meant to be. In the Shinto religion, there are supposedly over 8 million kami, gods, that take all kinds of forms from extraplanar beings to rocks and trees. There are 265 astronomical units in a parsec. The breakdown of what a parsec is, Earth orbital parallax arcsecond, is enough trivia to be a short lecture unto itself. Fuck it. You got a link or wanna talk about it? LASER is an acronym. It stands for light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. So many random things are actually acronyms. Nabisco, National Biscuit Company. WD-40, Water Displacement 40th Attempt. Time Magazine, the international magazine of events. M&M's, Mars, and Murray's. GECO, Government Employees Insurance Company. Canada Oil, Canada Oil. Low Acid, Nerf, Non-Expandable Recreational Foam. PAM Cooking Spray, product of Arthur Meerhoff. Yahoo, yet another hierarchical official oracle. Radar, radio detection and ranging. Ike, Ingvar Kamprad Elmterida Gunnarid. Smart Car, Swatch plus Mercedes plus Art. Disney's Epcot, Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow. Zip Code, Zone Improvement Plan Code. USA Patriot Act, uniting and strengthening America by providing appropriate tools required to intercept and obstruct terrorism. And what does that tell you, Agent Ward? That someone really wanted our initials to spell shield. Scotland banned Christmas for about 400 years. Because of the Protestant Reformation in the 1500s, it was only made a public holiday in the late 1950s. Ike. Hegemony, the Scottish word for New Year's Eve, has always been a more significant holiday anyway. Yep. And we get one more holiday than the rest of the UK at Hoggers to sober up. Betty White is older than sliced bread. Sliced bread is the best thing since Betty White. Cats that roar like lions and tigers cannot purr like house cats and vice versa. Yes, a big cat can roar, but can't purr. A non-big cat, for want of a better term, can purr, but can't roar. Hence cheetahs are not big cats. Also, they're the only big cat, even though they're not a big cat, you can domesticate. Burgess Meredith was one of 2 actors to star in 4 Twilight Zone episodes, the other being Jack Klugman. Burgess Meredith's penguin was so popular on the Batman TV show that they always had a penguin script ready in case he was available and willing to join. He had also quit smoking years before, so the penguin's cigarettes gave him horrible coughing fits. He improvised his penguin call to mask the coughs. He admitted that it didn't sound much like a penguin and was more akin to an asthmatic duck. Sloths are much faster swimmers than they are walkers/climbers. They'd have to be. Parthenax from Skyrim is voiced by the same guy who voices Mario, and I'll still never kill him. Parthenax. That quest is never finished. Mods are your friend. One of the first mods I downloaded was one which let me convince the council to let Parthenax live. Glossy magazine paper has a higher B vitamin content than newsprint. I just learned this yesterday. After an autopsy, the brain is put into the body instead of back in the skull. It's very hard to fit the cap back on the skull with brain put back in place. The better fit without the brain makes the head look better after the autopsy for sake of the family. JFK's brain was separated from his body to run additional tests on it. Even though the family wanted the body promptly buried, it was kept in a stainless steel box in the National Archives for years. At one point the body was moved to a fancier, more permanent tomb, and RFK secretly removed the brain from the archives and placed it within the grave during the reburial. I always thought it was separated from his body for a completely different reason. Fuck, cunt, shit, and all those wonderful words we enjoy are Old English, Anglo-Saxon. When the perfidious Normans conquered us in 1066 AD, there was a brief period when the Anglo-Saxons rallied in the north of England. The Norman purge was ruthless, and their culture remained dominant in England until the early modern period, so much so that some of the US founding fathers considered America to be a revived Anglo-Saxon nation. Within 2 centuries the common language of England became a pidgin of Old English and Old French, with the Anglo-Saxon words for body parts and actions being the vulgar and offensive variety and the Norman words being the polite and sophisticated alternative. Defecate versus shit. Sex versus fuck. Penis versus cock, etc. Norman dietary terms even took over, which is why we eat beef, boaf, and pork, instead of cow and pig. We used to call chicken capon, but someone we grew out of that. But interestingly the Normans were more fond of riding horses than eating them, unlike the Anglo-Saxons, so to this day horse is not eaten in Britain, or in any nation that developed from British culture. There's also a common misconception that duck stands for fornicating under consent of the king, when in fact ductus always meant fuck. www takes longer to say than World Wide Web. Can't we just call it sextuple? Pigs have 30-minute orgasms. This is a case where the pronunciation of minute really changes the meaning. Never thought of it this way, OMG. Velociraptors only weighed 30 pounds and were the size of turkeys. Hippo's milk is pink. The letter Q does not appear in any state name. Psycho was the first move to show a flushing toilet. One World Trade Center is 1776 feet tall, a reference to the date of the Declaration of Independence. Days on Venus are longer than years. Disney World in Florida is built on a network of tunnels that mirror the park, so cast members can get to the different lands without spoiling the immersion. The Beatles broke up at Disney World. Whales' dick are 3 meters long. A female elephant's clitoris can be up to 40 centimeters long. Competitive art used to be in the Olympics. Where's a Bob Ross meme when you need one? Sterquilinus is the Roman god of poop. We've only explored 5% of the ocean, because the aliens won't let us explore further. Koalas got 2 dicks. So do snakes. Hemipenes. A given snake prefers to use the same one time after time. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe for more videos.